So now that we're looking at the solution report and all the instructions on how to perform the cuts, we can print this report if we like. You can print it to paper, and you can see it faithfully lays it out, but it adds in the layout section for your reference, and it adds in an execution section for each one of the purchases that you make of product. Um, so you can then send it to a printer or what have you. What I prefer to do is put it on a tablet, run PlyMiser, save the project. So let's save it, and we'll call it the sample project. So we've saved the entire geometry of the project and all the results get saved in a save file. You can then close it down, take your tablet, go into the shop, and run PlyMiser right from your tablet in your shop, and it'll tell you exactly all the cuts that you have to make. So, what did we see? So far, what we saw is how PlyMiser, you make PlyMiser aware of all the pieces in your model through the pieces section. We saw how you can use PlyMiser's curation capability to rapidly select products and include them in your project. We saw how you can update products in your model directly from the web pages of retailers. And we took a quick look into how PlyMiser links its Learn pages to your project. So at any time, you can go out and click on Learn. We got a quick view of how PlyMiser's calculations are performed and the few parameters that you have to specify in order to get these calculations to run. You saw an overview of the support utility, and you saw a richness of the solution results that PlyMiser creates. Then, once you pick a solution, we showed how the layout section lets you visually interpret the solution and walk through the steps. And we demonstrated a PlyMiser solution report, and it shows you all the faithful recordings of all the data that's in your product, as well as instructions on how to cut given the products that it included. Um, so why does it matter? Why are these things important to woodworkers? Well, number one, it helps you organize a very nonlinear and somewhat chaotic plan to purchase process, and helps you organize your thinking into manageable categories and blocks of data. It makes the product identification and evaluation options pretty simple. They're centralized, filterable products that relate to your model. You just bring them in. Um, you have user directed software assisted capture from current retailer price and availability. There's no effort on your part really to explore hundreds of possible solutions. You get great visibility to the cost. You don't have to do side calculations and spreadsheets. You don't have to draw out cut diagrams. There's a layout diagram for you, and you get shop ready reports. So that's pretty powerful set of capabilities. And you could tell from the software that it's built by a woodworker for woodworkers. So, also, what didn't we see? There were a few things I didn't show you. There are a few more capabilities. First is localization. You remember how we edited a product and made sure its price was current? Well, there's a capability inside PlyMiser called localization. And localization takes all the products that are in your model and lets you walk through them one by one and make sure the price is valid and that it's available to you. And it automatically records the SKUs and product numbers behind the scenes. That's really important because I entered these products largely because I live in the Chicago area and it affects Midwestern prices. So all my stores are richly stocked and I fortunately live in a desirable price zone. But if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, you're going to see different prices for your products, and your stores might not carry all those products that you selected. So it's important to run through this localization stage, which I'll demonstrate in another video. And we certainly have laid out in the Learn pages. But it's important to localize your model once you think you've got a handle on it. Another thing I haven't done is shown you how you can use parameters inside PlyMiser. Parameters are such that there were really a few parameters that governed our whole example problem, and that was the length, the height, the width, the thickness of the frame for the 1x3s, and the thickness of the frame for the 1x2s that face the shelves. I count that as 5 different parameters. If you decided to change your length from 42 inches to 48 inches, you'd have to probably make another drawing or run through another set of calculations. But instead, your whole model, this whole example problem, could have been defined in terms of 5 variables and the relationships between them. You know, uh, this, the face frame, the 1x2s on the strips that go on the front of the shelves, well, they would be your length, L, less 2 face widths of the frame of the 1x3s. So you could define all the geometry by just changing a few parameters. So that lets you explore different model sizes, and especially for contractors who like to use the same design but just adapt it to different customer space requirements, this is an invaluable capability for contractors. So we'll create another video, and this is certainly covered in our Learn pages. And then I hinted at the edge conditions. So, here's how I look at edge conditions and why I put them in. My house is a 100-year-old house, and my shop is in the basement. It's an old coal shed that's in the basement, and that's where I have my shop and I have my table saw. So just imagine how hard it is for me to bring in a 4x8 piece of plywood. And I don't have enough space around my table saw to rip or crosscut a 4x8 panel. Frankly, I struggle with a 4-foot panel in my basement workshop. So I have to use a circular saw in my driveway to break down panels to the size where I can bring them into my basement, put them up on my table saw, which has, an 80 tooth blade for fine cuts. But I have to break it down on the driveway. So when I use my circular saw on the driveway, it's the same saw I use for rough cutting 4x4s and outdoor wood projects. It's got a general purpose blade on it, and it doesn't give me a good cut on plywood, especially on cross cuts. So I like to leave an extra 1/4 inch dimension on these pieces when I break them down, so I could trim them down in my basement on my table saw with a fine tooth blade. So these are all settings that you could put into PlyMiser, and I call them cut settings and edge conditions. And PlyMiser will carry all these calculations through as it chooses your product. So they'll all come in future videos and certainly in the Learn pages. So I know your time's valuable. Thank you for visiting with me for a while. And if you need more information, go to PlyMiser.com. Don't forget you can run the free version of PlyMiser. It's limited, but it's free. Or you can email us directly at plymiser@gmail.com. So have fun and make some sawdust.